It's time for another NCIXPC Systems episode. We are going to be doing a theme that we've seen a few times before, which is everything gamers need and nothing that they don't, so that bang for the buck, price to performance ratio sweet spot, so to speak. But this time, you're going to see something a little bit different. We've got a Cooler Master Gigabyte Crucial flavored version of that overall concept. As always, guys, we're going to start with a tour of the outside. Now, you might know Cooler Master best for their half or high airflow series, which has a very gamer-looking look and feel to it, very kind of out there and polarizing looking. Not all their stuff's like that. So this is the N600, which goes for a more square, sort of mature overall look, but without compromising on airflow. So you can tell by looking at it because the entire front of the chassis with its 3 5¼ inch bays, reset and power buttons, as well as microphone and headphone jacks, 2 USB 2.0 ports and 2 USB 3.0 ports, is, other than those things I just mentioned, mesh. Boom. Airflow. Next up, on the right-hand side, boom, mesh. Usually we find a completely blank right-hand side to most cases, but this instead has 2 mesh spots where you can actually feel the air coming into the case right now as we speak. And by we speaking, I mean I'm speaking because you're sitting here watching a video. So if you were talking, that would be pretty impolite, you know, to speak over the person who's trying to tell you about the system right now. I'm just messing with you guys. Anyway, on the left-hand side, we find a 200mm intake fan. This is the first hint of some of the more, maybe a little bit gamer-lookingness to the system that will be revealed more once we open it up and find out what sweet, sick hardware is in there. And then that blue lighting is also supplemented by 2 more blue LED lights in the top. So these are dual 120mm fans that are being used as an exhaust so that we don't end up with just intakes for the entire system. At the back of the case, we find the I/O provided by the Gigabyte board inside. So there's 2 USB 2.0 ports, a PS2 keyboard mouse combo port, VGA, DVI, HDMI, 6 USB 3.0 ports. It seems to have finally supplanted USB 2 as the more common USB on modern gaming grade systems. Gigabit Ethernet and 7.1 audio out. The graphics card here supports NVIDIA 3D Vision Surround, so that's up to 3 monitors running at 120 Hz in 3D with a 4th auxiliary monitor, all at the same time. The side panel is removed by undoing 2 thumb screws and removing the side panel. So that's where we find that 200mm fan mounted to the side panel, which reveals the things that are inside the side panel. The first thing that is revealed is this Gigabyte WindForce GTX 770. The reason I want to start with this card is because that side panel has a lot to do with it. Having that cooling fan directly over the graphics card, particularly with an open concept cooler like the WindForce cooler, means that particularly on GeForce cards supporting GPU Boost 2.0, it is going to be running at its max boost clocks more often, giving you genuinely better performance, which wasn't always the case with having your graphics card run cooler. And this particular card comes clocked at a whopping 1.15 gigahertz boost clock, meaning it performs pretty darn well, and if you throw a couple of them in there, you are not only going to get better performance, but also still great cooling due to that side fan. Now let's get on to our more normal tour of the inside. So our 4670K is cooled by a Cooler Master side-in liquid cooler, has a very robust mounting mechanism, single 120mm radiator, and 2 120mm cooling fans. We've got 8 gigs of Crucial Ballistics tactical memory on the Gigabyte Z87X D3H motherboard. So the motherboard is sort of in line with that everything you need, nothing you don't concept, where it's got a nice matte black PCB, it's got an all-digital power design, but no like LEDs all over it or anything like that. The power supply is a Cooler Master I series. It's non-modular, but it is SLI and Crossfire ready, so if you do want to add that second graphics card I talked about before, then that's great. And the SSD is the new M500 from Crucial. This is a big improvement over the older M4 and actually offers much better performance consistency even when the drive is full than many other drives on the market today. So definitely check that out. And for storage, you've got a WD 2TB green drive because a 120 gig SSD isn't necessarily enough for all your games and whatnot. In fact, I downloaded a game on my phone the other day that was 1.5 gigs. It's a phone game. I mean, PC games are bigger than that. This is becoming tangential. So that's all the hardware. So basically, what do you get with this system? Well, you get a whole bunch of swag. So you get Norton Internet Security, that actually comes with the motherboard. You get Metro Last Light, Splinter Cell Blacklist, Borderlands 2, Mafia 2, Just Cause 2, and $75 of in-game credit for some free-to-play games, so PlanetSide 2, Hawken, as well as World of Tanks. So that's a total of $260+ of value. You also get a bunch of the features that we didn't really mention as we went through the hardware, but are kind of important. So EasyTune software is Gigabyte's way of allowing you to overclock, not only from within the UEFI, but also from within Windows. You get dual BIOS, which for me, the main benefit of that is if you update a BIOS and it causes some kind of a problem with your system, you can easily flip back to the old BIOS and you're going to be up and running again. The other benefit is if you're flashing the BIOS and you lose power or something goes terribly wrong and it's corrupted, you can switch back and then you can recover it using that secondary BIOS chip, which is a physical chip on the board. Very, very cool. They also, as part of their ultra durable design, have separate fuses for each of the USB ports. So I don't know if you've ever killed a USB port by accidentally plugging something in and zapping it or shorting it out or whatever else, but I've seen it happen, and on typical motherboard implementations, you could actually kill all the USB ports off that controller, but Gigabyte uses individual fuses on each one to prevent that from happening. The other USB-related feature is on-off charge, which allows you to charge your smartphone or tablet even when the system's powered down. It's got Intel gigabit networking, so, it's Intel, so more stability and better performance overall, sort of like smoothness. This is good. Lower CPU utilization is another definite benefit of that, and of course, Gigabyte's Smart Fan Control, which you can configure from within the UEFI or within their application that I was telling you about before. Thank you for checking out this episode on the 504IG from NCIXPC. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this from ncix.com.